Hi again, and welcome to part 2 of Learn to Drive at an older age. If you've not seen the first one, I'll put a link at the top. And today we're just going to just go over a couple of things just so you understand what your options are. So you've managed to get yourself sorted with an instructor. That's your first step, isn't it? Yeah. You've gone down the lines of someone's recommended someone who they've said is pretty good, and you've gone to them. What I would say is don't go and pay 10 hours up front, because some people want to pay 10 hours, 20 hours and so on. I say just have a taster lesson. Have one lesson, whether it be 1 hour, 1.5 or 2 hour lessons, and have that lesson with that instructor just to get to know them, because you know what it's like in life. Sometimes for whatever reason it just doesn't click and you don't get on with them. At that point you can find another instructor if that's the case. And if it's the case where, do you know what, that instructor's fantastic, they were dead considerate, they knew exactly how I felt, they knew the fact that I've got a sore back, so they were considerate about these things, and they're not pushing me too hard, but I feel like I'm making progress, then that's the one for you, isn't it? In which case, on your next time you see them, if you want to pay a few more hours in advance, that's entirely up to you. Alright, so that's something to consider at first. Another thing also to think about is whether you're going to just have driving lessons with the instructor, or whether you're going to be going a combination of lessons with the instructor and family lessons with a member of the family who's agreed to sit in the car with you and be your supervisor. Which is going to feel a bit weird, especially if you're like 40 or 50-year-old, and it might be your husband or wife, it might be your son who's a few years younger than you, who's been driving for over 3 years, he's over 21 years old. That's what you got to remember, okay? And they've got a full license at that point. So if you're going to go down the route of I'm going to use a family member at the same time, then I suggest you get yourself at least 10-12 hours of lessons with your instructor first, just to get to the point where you understand the basics, you understand what you're doing. Speak to your instructor, tell them that's what you're going to be doing. They might say to you, this is a good time to start doing it, or they might give you a little bit of homework so you can go away in the car and practice it. But But what you've also got to remember is the insurance is going to be different for a learner. There's insurance learner drivers out there for insurance. There's a few of them. I'll put a couple of links in the description of people who provide learner insurance. Or it could be if you're with your husband or wife and they've already got a car, you just speak to their insurance company and just say, my wife or my husband is going to be doing driving lessons, can we do in my car, can we cover that? They'll say yes, because they want your money, won't they, at that point? But it's right to tell them, because if you just get in the car thinking that you're insured, you're probably not going to be insured. And do remember, if you're going to go down the route of using a family car, make sure that it's insured, it's got L plates on the front and back, so it's legal. I do recommend, I'll just get this off here and I'll show you, I do recommend, if you're going to do that, get yourself a rear view mirror for the supervisor, whether it be your husband or wife or your son or your daughter, so they can have it on their side and they can see what's happening behind them. Otherwise they're constantly checking over the shoulder, seeing what's going on, because they can't see very well. So you've got your own rear view mirror in the middle, they'll have a spare rear view mirror. I'll put a link of Amazon link of we can get them on, but you can get them from Alfred's. I think they're about, mine was about £8, and it's basically a mirror. On the back of it is I'll just show you, it's a little suction cup which pushes onto the windscreen and locks in place, and it can come off as a suction cup, so you can always take it off in between lessons. So that's something that I recommend you would get if you're going to go down the side of having driving lessons in your car at the same time. Also, consider once you start having driving lessons, is consider the theory test, because you'll need to take the theory test, and with the theory test it's £23. I think the waiting time for the theory test is about 4 to 6 weeks in most places around the UK, so that's something that you want to do. because you can't book your practical driving test until you pass your theory. Now some people will say, I'll just take my theory when I'm ready. That's fine, but the theory's come a long way in the last 20 years. They've put stuff in that theory test that you wouldn't think would be in there, like first aid is going to be in the theory test questions. So you might not necessarily use first aid if it comes to roadside emergency, but that's what's going to be in there as one of the questions. So like I say, that book I recommended, the DVSA Essential Skills from last time, I'll put another link at the same time, so if you want to read the book, it might help you on that one there. But there's loads of apps out there, and there's obviously you can get stuff for your computer, or you can get books to read on it, like I just said then, to help you get through your theory. And what you want to be doing is, as well as having lessons with your instructor, every time you finish the lesson, sit down at the end of the lesson, the instructor is going to say to you, this is what we've done today, that was quite good, we need to work on that. This is your opportunity then, is to set yourself some goals. So if you're just going to go back to your instructor car the following week, then at the end of the lesson, okay then, well next week we're going to work on and set 2 goals. Don't go 4 or 5 goals, give yourself 2 goals that you want to improve from this lesson going forward. So next time you get in the car, that's what you want to work on. And then you do the exactly the same again. At the beginning of the lesson, your instructor is going to do a recap with you of what happened in the last lesson, and then you've got your 2 goals to work on straight away. It could be clutch control in the first few lessons, it could be junctions, it could be meeting situations where you're going around cars. If you're, I say, can't combine it with your own car, with your family member, and doing driving lessons in between, then this is a good time when you say to the instructor, okay, let's set ourselves some goals then. I'm going to go in the car at least once or twice in the evening, because I've got more spare time on my hands now because I'm older. So I'll have more time to do this. So it's an advantage for you that where a student who's 17 tends to be at school, college, university, so their time's sparse, where you, if you're, say, in your late 50s or 60s, you might be semi-retired, you might be retired, you might not be working, so you'll have more time on your hands. So if you've got a family car that you can get hold of, that's going to help you, then you can go out and out with a supervisor as many times as you want. So give yourself a couple of goals to set, so that when you go home you can speak to your family member, say, well, it went all right, I was struggling with my clutch, I didn't understand this, but my instructor said to me I need to go away and practice this, and before your next lesson you've been in the car 2 or 3 times, and then you get back in the car with the instructor, and hopefully you'll see an improvement. Something you need to be wary about though is if when you're using 2 cars, 2 different types of clutches, which means it's going to be slightly different biting points. If you're using automatics, it'll be different controls in the car, so but you'll get used to it over time, so don't worry about that. Okay, and obviously watch videos on the subject. So if it's clutch control or gears or roundabouts, type in on YouTube how to control the clutch in a manual car, how to do roundabouts. If it's a more advanced, how to do spiral roundabouts. Okay, good luck with the lessons, and I'll do a part 3 for this coming out soon.